Alright, time for one more episode of Castlevania Lament of Innocence. We got the sub-weapons out of the way last time, so this time, screw this room. We don't need to stick around in Pagoda anymore. We want to go visit our friend Ronaldo. We didn't see him at all last time.
Welcome.
Alright, so, once you've finished the game, you can buy the music box, which is the sound test. There's also the Jade Mask, which is actually a pretty neat and fairly cheap, little not sub-weapon. Oh god, I've forgotten all the terms. It's an equipable thing. You equip it. I'm sorry, it's been ages since I've played, but, accessory, that's it. So you put on the Jade Mask, and you don't even need to whip these anymore, you just destroy them. Obviously, there are, like, way more technically useful accessories you could equip, you know, to help you survive or fight enemies, but if you have a slot you don't particularly need, it is fun to just destroy those things without needing to stop for them. Next off, we have Boss Rush Mode, which is also unlocked once you beat the game. Boss Rush Mode will appear in this area. Now, there are multiple playable characters in this game, and all of them have access to their own boss rushes once you complete the game. Obviously, I'm not doing great other than that random perfect that I got. Initially, I kind of wanted to do a full run of the boss rush, but I'm just going to stick to what I'm able to do for this episode. You know, when I first came into it, not really remembering anything about it at all, and just getting owned immediately. So, yeah, there's a bunch of boss rush modes on YouTube, so I figured you didn't really need to see me get into it too much. I actually do a decent job for starting horribly. Of course, you do have access to some of your all of your items, really. I don't know if it removes the potions from your inventory, considering I could pick them up here, but you do actually get some refresh between battles, which is really nice. I actually like that, so you can get your hearts refreshed a bit. You can use the potions to heal. I can't tell you how generous it is throughout the entire thing, because again, I didn't really bother getting too much into it. Normally I would, you know, try, but this game's kind of been eating up a lot of disk space for a month or so now, so, you know, I would like to maybe be done with this. Anyway, though, yeah, Ice Elemental isn't too bad, and yet here I am getting my butt kicked. I didn't play this too long after I'd actually beaten the game initially, so I don't know why I'm doing this badly other than the fact that it had been a while since I'd actually played this boss. And I don't think we actually saw that projectile attack in the initial encounter, did we? If not, then, well, that's new to you, huh? That, however, isn't. I know full well she used that one a lot. Of course, I believe the bosses are also in a set order, so if you look them up online, you can actually just, like, prepare ahead of time and just get all your equipment ready. Obviously, I knew to equip the Fire Whip. Forgot to equip any sort of defensive item, but again, I didn't care that much. Do notice, of course, that even between battles, your timer is going up, so it does count healing and, you know, just general refresh in your boss rush time. So, if you want the best time you can possibly get, make sure to minimize damage, and just try not to take too long between fights. You know, cuts out a couple of seconds, which can definitely help. Anyway, I didn't bother equipping any sort of electricity protection, because again, I didn't particularly want to get through all of boss rush in this video, so yeah, I didn't... Oh god, I didn't even unequip the Fire Whip. Not that he's resistant to it as far as I know, but he's not weak to it either. But yeah, this is where I die, just gonna spoil that real quick. I mean, I could have played a little better, but, you know, again, didn't care that much. I do, however, appreciate past me's insistence on using the kicks, because, quite frankly, is there a better sub-weapon than the kicks? I do love Black Orb Axe for that. It is just amazing. Come on, there we go. Got clipped by that attack, and Leon just sort of crumples over. So yeah, that's all you're gonna see a boss rush. I'm not even gonna play it with the other characters. So, what's up next? Should be sound test, yes? Okay, so once you buy the soundbox item, you get Sound Select. Now, of course, you can listen to some of the songs of the game over again, but more importantly, we actually get comments from Michiru Yamane, who was on the Castlevania sound team since Bloodlines. I think she's usually fairly in charge of those, except for, like, what is it, Aria of Sorrow, apparently? But yeah, I absolutely adore her comments on all of these songs. She finds Gollum adorable, which is great. This one is my favorite. God, I forgot exactly what it was, but it's like, you know, a lot of people are probably horny for being murdered by succubus, but you know what? I get it. God, a lot of these comments are just so good. Like this one, I forgot about the Joachim one. Oh my god. She just calls Joachim a child. It's amazing. But yeah. I think the boss ones are like the best ones. This one is gorgeous and smooth. But yeah, she's fantastic and I love her. So yeah, according to the Castlevania Wiki, she was principal composer on Bloodlines, Symphony of the Night, and this game. While she also contributed a few tracks for Harmony of Dissonance and Aria of Sorrow. Actually, she was still a major composer in Aria of Sorrow, though, it seems, but in this case it also references Takashi Yoshida or credits rather, him and Soshiro Hokai? I hope I pronounced that right. But yeah, I want her comments on every game. I mean, it's always nice to have a sound test, but man... Just died looking at them and forgetting to fight. I love her, she's great. Honestly, just in general, I want more sound tests that have, like, little comments from the composers. Not even necessarily about, about the songs themselves. But, you know, just, like, where they fit into the game. Like Ghostly Theater, she also just wants a music hall all to herself. All of this rules, they're so good. I think I missed the, one for Forgotten One, right? Oh, apparently this is one of Iga's favorites. Piece that shows Leon's grief and anger. As we all know, my favorite aspects of Leon's character. When he's very mad and points. When he is sad about wife. It is a Castlevania-like tune. Well, I'm glad, considering the game it's in. I love how often she apparently just forgets to fight. She's just like, oh, graphic design team also did a good job. Good for them. Just all the time, in every area. Yes! Absolutely. Agreed. Just somewhere to let your guard down. Ronaldo, our best friend. There is no truer friend than Ronaldo. What a good person. I'm glad Yamane also recognizes that. See, now that's just commenting about, like, the music and the fact that it's got a bit of Vampire Killer in it. Unfortunately, that's the last song. But anyway, yeah, Forgotten One song, she says something like she comments on how gross it is or something, but then she's like, oh, it's cool. It's like, yeah, no, that's probably why she and Iga probably get along pretty well then. Alright, so next off we're going to show off not one of the extra characters, but one of the extra modes. Crazy Mode, I am absolutely not going to do a full playthrough of. I'm sure there are some on YouTube. As you can see, I already tried to start, but then got interrupted by something, so going right back into it. We're going to skip this because we don't need to see that again. So, Crazy Mode, as you might imagine, is the hard mode of the game. Now, you do still get some advantages, you know, you get your items, you can still find items, I believe. Actually, I need to double check. While we run through, though, yeah, Crazy Mode is significantly harder. There is a reason you don't really get to it right off the bat, or you can't get it right off the bat, rather. Okay, so you can only hold up to 5 type of each item, but you can still get items, which is a little bit better than a lot of games would do. I feel like a lot of games just say, nope, you don't get items. Screw you. Now, if you actually beat Crazy Mode, you're able to buy the Mobius Brooch, and it's very expensive at 200,000 gold. However, it lets you use sub-weapons without consuming any hearts whatsoever, so that is actually a pretty worthwhile reward. I forget if you can get it on New Game Plus. I'm pretty sure you can, because I believe I've seen the Jade Mask, which is definitely a post-game item in the store on a new game. So anyway, here's a skeleton. That doesn't seem too much out of the way, but hey, we have 3 skeletons, and they're attacking a little bit faster. I believe there were only 2 skeletons before. Actually, there might have only been 3. Either way, though, they definitely seem like they're a little more aggressive, so, you know, that seems to make Crazy Mode a little more difficult, right? We still, however, do get special moves, and oh, hey, you're not supposed to be here. So, if you don't recognize this guy, let's see if we can get the enemy tag up. Let's see, come on, attack, attack. That's not like your normal Axe Knight or anything. That's not the normal suit of armor. That base on the shield might have been, that might have reminded you of what this guy might be. The fact that he's shooting fire from his shield, pretty unusual. That seems like a pretty good attack for this point. So if I could just... There we go. So yeah, Dualahan. Remember how we didn't fight a Dualahan until the last area of the game? So yeah, they're just throwing that at us this early. So yeah, considering how weak we are, they've got a lot of HP. It's kind of hard to kill them quickly. Heck, they were hard to take down on the initial run as well, just when we were that powerful. So, yeah, as you might have been able to guess, I'm not going to get very far in Crazy Mode. I pretty much just had another go with it until I die tactic for this, or not tactic, but it's just what I was going to do. I forget. I don't remember words right now, I'm sorry. I did manage to kill the Dualahan, though, and that does give you his normal drop, or one of them at least. He probably has more than just 400 gold. But hey, 400 gold at this point in the game, not half bad. So yeah, I think I was starting to say earlier, it is also nice that the game does still let you unlock new abilities, and oh hey look, you're definitely not supposed to be here, I'm definitely gonna die. 'Cause that's 2 ogres! And the Flame Knight who was here before. But anyway, yeah, it is nice that they still let you unlock abilities, because honestly, Crazy Mode would suck if they didn't let you do that, because this game without being able to flip would be bad. Leon's moveset kind of lives and dies by your mobility. That mobility is what makes it at all fun. Alright, so what am I showing off here? I legitimately do not remember. Oh, I was probably just showing off more of Crazy Mode because, you know, you got a taste of what was in just the tutorial area. You know, the area that was supposed to teach you how to play. Yeah, let's check out the first area you're actually supposed to go to. Of course, I am skipping out on that fire statue that I forget the name of. Well, I remember the name, I just don't want to pronounce it. It's like Svalrog or something? Either way, I'm going in without it, but, like, I'm not going to last long, so who cares? So, yes, House of Sacred Remnants. Oh, we've already got a Spartacus. Isn't that quaint? That's another enemy that if it didn't appear only in Pagoda of the Misty Moon, it certainly doesn't appear in House of Sacred Remnants, but I am fairly certain we didn't see Spartacus until Pagoda of the Misty Moon. So, yeah, these are the enemies that you have to kill in the entryway. Admittedly, if not for the fact that this game takes up a lot of disk space and I've been playing it for a while, I would kind of be interested in a crazy mode playthrough, because, like, this is absolutely a mode you would not be able to play until you beat the game once, but I kind of want to see what they throw at you just out of nowhere. I'd imagine it sort of evens out later when you get close to the end of the game. Like, once you get to Pagoda of the Misty Moon, unless they actually add new enemies, or just, like, shove the bosses in some... Oh, hi, Executioner, you're not supposed to be here yet. You're not for, like, another floor. But, yeah, unless it somehow shoves the bosses in, which I don't think it physically could, considering the bosses of this game, I fail to see what they could add to Pagoda of the Misty Moon, other than just, hey, here's more enemies that was here before than what was there before. Whatever. Words. I told you I'm bad at those. Oh, and I'm cursed. Well, Executioner, to be fair, isn't the worst addition. Like, they are still within House of Sacred Remnants. It's just a little bit earlier, so you're missing out on an HP max up or an MP max up, a few moves you could have unlocked, that sort of thing. Mostly it's just here to be a fantastic surprise, like, oh, Spartacus, that's unusual. Then you just get to this hallway and bam, out of nowhere, an Executioner just shoulder checks you. This mode is incredibly rude, and I'm here for it. Ah, and we have Hanged Man instead of just normal zombies. Hanged Men were pretty resilient back in the day. Again, they were like second area enemies, so they're not the worst. You probably want to get rid of the archers first, though, because ranged attacks are annoying, and Hanged Men are still slow. I think the worst part, though, is just getting to the point where you have an axe. Like, that's what I need. Axes are probably my first step into actually doing crazy mode if I were going to. I really love that sub-weapon normally, but I feel like it's kind of crucial to just cut through these enemies, because normal-ass knives really will not cut the enemy set they've given us. Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, they were resilient in the normal playthrough, and I'm definitely feeling that here. And oh, hey, Coin of Happiness. Did we pick up one of those in the other playthrough? It increases luck, so, you know, if we didn't, there's a rare drop right there. It will not save me. And also, this area gave me a sense of deja vu and kind of screwed me over because the doors lock again. See, that's the kind of rude I don't appreciate. So yeah, you can see that pause there. I'm pretty sure that's the point where I just resigned myself to dying. Because I was like, wait, did I enter through that other door? Because, like, why would they put an Executioner there again, like in the first hallway? But, you know, the question I should have asked myself should have been, why wouldn't they put an Executioner there? Like, really, Victoria, why wouldn't they? There is no reason for them not to be rude. The knives will not help you. That might have, to be fair. That's not a bad move. Does stick you around for longer, but you know. At this point, how am I gonna survive? Oh, doing good. Oh, 2 more Hanged Men. Okay, yeah, I think by that point I was just kinda done. I was way too aggressive there. I feel like even I would know that. And I am 9 out of 10 times an idiot. Alright, so, now we're actually going to get to one of the new characters. Oh, and it actually lets you look at the hidden names. That's actually pretty cool. I did not notice that while recording. However, I don't need the hint because I can just enter Joachim. And by doing this, you have to save first, of course. Again, messed up the initial recording. I think because I actually left the castle and I didn't really want to keep that in. But anyway, this is Joachim mode. So, remember earlier how I mentioned how it was nice of Crazy Mode not to just cut out healing items? Joachim doesn't have an inventory. However, I don't think that's a huge deal most of the time. It is rude when you do eventually find like potions and shortcakes that do nothing but heal you at the moment, but, you know, other than that, Joachim doesn't particularly need any inventory, and you'll see why. I should mention, though, he does have item pickups, so it is worthwhile to go around and explore the castle again. You'll also find it a bit easier, because Joachim doesn't need to pick up most things, such as keys. The only key he needs is the unlock jewel, in order to fight the Forgotten One, because the developers weren't just going to let you rush into that. However, yeah, other than, like, switches you have to press, Joachim can just access pretty much any area in the castle without much need for, any extra items. Some jumps are also easier because Joachim doesn't have a whip, therefore, the game just provides platforms to jump on in platform-heavy areas. And honestly, that is such a breath of fresh air. I love Joachim mode because it's just so easy to breeze through. Now, a big portion of his mode is, of course, targeting enemies, and you're gonna need that. You might have also noticed that Joachim has two different ways of attacking. This one is good for normal enemies. It's gonna be what you're using through most of your exploration of the castle. While this one is better for big enemies and bosses, or just in general if you need to target something specific. So, for this boss I decided to start with this attack. Now, when the swords surround Joachim, you basically just get this wild swing attack, which is great. It looks a bit goofy, but it's really fun to use. I mainly use this because I figured it would help me cut down all the enemies that appear here, and it does. It really helps with getting rid of the soulless. However, you actually want to use his other stance, the one where these swords float behind him. Of course, as I said, that is a more targeted attack. It also does more damage, as one might expect. However, it does have one huge drawback in that there's a lot more lag in how long it takes the swords to come back to you. You'll notice that when Joachim is flailing about, those swords do come back to him rather quickly. However, when I do this and exhaust my sword supply, Joachim is defenseless for a moment. I should also mention, one of the really good items and the ones you're going to want to find are attack-ups. There are a few that are just hidden in the castle, but for the most part you get them from the mini-boss battles in place of the extra whip attacks. The overall damage increase is really nice, especially to make the flail attack even more viable than it normally is, because you'll notice from killing these eyeballs that, like, there is absolutely a noticeable difference in how much damage the focused attack does. Like, even with the lag, it is a lot easier to kill these eyeballs with the rushed targeted or focused attack. But if you pick up damage upgrades, the flail attack does get a lot better. Again, it is pretty solid for normal enemies. You're going to want to use both. You might have also noticed during the little tutorial pop-up back when we started this mode, Joachim does have special attacks, and he actually has two different special attacks depending on which stance you're in. I don't think I show them off during this battle just because I didn't have enough confidence in how much MP I had, even though that wasn't really a worry. Joachim does regain magic not by defending, but by attacking, so actually because of the Solus here, it's really easy to regain your magic, which is good because without a lot of MP upgrades, the special attacks will really drain your magic meter. Heck, even when you have all of the MP ups, you will not want to use the magic attacks too heavily, lest you run out of steam quickly. But in battles like this where there are a lot of targets, it's not the worst to rely a little more on your magic attacks, because it refreshes a bit faster. You just want to be mindful in case you're in a pinch. Now, one major difficulty that Joachim has compared to Leon... Well, first I should state the advantage, because it's not just fun-looking and fun-feeling attacks. It is legitimately a lot easier to get through the castle because you can move an attack, which is a major advantage over Leon. Leon definitely had some of that attack lag. And even then, because of how rapidly you can attack, you can really take care of things a lot quicker than Leon could. So, Joachim is a lot better physically than Leon. Oh, real quick though, you're gonna see in a moment that you still get orbs in this mode. They do nothing. You don't get anything new based on what orbs you get, so you can tackle these areas in any order you want. I didn't. It's still good to start with this area, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that orbs don't do anything. You don't get any new magic attacks based on them, you don't get any new stances. Anyway, back to Joachim versus Leon. Leon, of course, as I've mentioned before, is really good in terms of mobility. That also means he's better defensively than Joachim. You might have noticed that Joachim does have a little dash that he has in order to evade enemy attacks. However, it's nowhere near as good as Leon's flips. Even though Leon started with only a single flip, well, technically he starts with 0 flips, but you get the first dodge quick enough where I'd say that it's fine if you skip. That's the flail attack magic, which is pretty good at clearing out things around Joachim. But anyway, yeah, even though Joachim starts with 2 dodges, they don't move nearly enough to be as useful as Leon's flips, and you can't use them quite as rapidly. I think there's a bit more of a delay to them. In addition, you really... Oh my god, I completely forgot you could charge attacks. Oh boy, you're not gonna see me use that in the coming fights. But anyway, yeah, fuck, what was I saying? Right, yeah, I think there's a bit more lag in Joachim's dodges. They're not as fun to use as Leon's flips as well. And, frick, I forgot what I was gonna say. I legitimately forgot. Oh yeah, iframes. Joachim has no iframes. You have got to be out of the way of the thing that's attacking by the time it's where you either are or have been. Because if you're still there, you're taking damage, buddy. So yeah, you do have to be a lot more careful about positioning as Joachim, which, in fairness, because you can move an attack, is a little bit easier in a certain sense. Oh yeah, and this is Joachim's special move with the focused attack. He just gets a frickin' laser. That rules. I love that. Obviously, that's better for single target things, usually. There's one exception, and trust me, you'll know it when you see it, and I know I'll mention it. But, yeah, while Joachim does have an easier time dodging because he can move an attack, do be careful and make sure you are actually using that to your advantage. Because if you aren't actively aware of your positioning, you do not have as good a panic button as Leon does. And speaking of Leon, this boss is no longer the doppelganger, but the Leon fake. I'm a little bit disappointed we don't just, like, murder the actual... Well, I did make myself sad by saying that out loud. I don't want to kill Leon. I love that dumb boy. But also, it is a shame that in Joachim mode you don't just beat up the actual real Leon and just end that specific part of the story right here. There is, of course, another Leon fake battle later on in the Pagoda of the Misty Moon, but I'm not going to show that one off. It is, of course, different, but I figured I just wanted to show that they do change the name of the doppelganger here, so that it reflects the fact that you're not playing as Leon anymore. And, of course, yeah, provided you position the laser correctly, it can do a lot of damage. And Leon Fake gets away. This, however, does take the name Doppelganger. Okay, so before I actually got to this area, I was kind of hoping there wouldn't be any Leon Doppelganger fight and you'd fight him in here, but the game does acknowledge that you're still fighting a fake and calls this one Doppelganger instead. I think that's kind of neat. It is kind of weird, though, that the Leon fake has the same animation as the Leon Doppelganger fight, because now it's a little bit nonsensical because the shadow comes out of Joachim when that's not his shadow at all. So yeah, this fight is a little bit easier because, of course, with Leon, Joachim could really capitalize on the fact that you did have to stop to attack. So all of his heavy damaging attacks here are a lot easier to dodge. Like this is nothing. Wasn't really a big deal in Leon's fight either, but the other sword attack, yeah, this one, well, no, that's him making a barrier. Whoops. That one's a little trickier because, of course, oh, should mention a crucial thing about Joachim's defensive ability that is actually, like, it slips my mind, but it is important. Joachim doesn't defend, so not only do you have to be out of the way of attacks, you have to be out of the way of attacks. Because, of course, you have to be holding the target button and pressing X, so that one should be easier to dodge as Joachim, but I didn't. But yeah, there is no block button at all. You probably noticed that by now, but I figure I should mention it just in case, because it is pretty crucial to Joachim being less defensive. But yeah, as I was saying, that spin attack that started me on this tangent. Real quick, one more tangent. I like that Joachim's doppelganger explodes in light instead of darkness. He probably exploded in darkness, but he died in a cutscene last time, so I don't remember the animation. Well, there wasn't an animation in the battle, but rather there was the animation in the cutscene, and I don't remember that. Anyway, yeah, just wanted to say, dodging that spin attack, you can't defend it, of course, as I mentioned before, but it is easy enough to just get out of the way of it. And he still flashes purple, so, like, you know he's going to do that attack. So it's easy enough to get out of the way of. Anyway, though, I don't think I have anything particular to say about Medusa. Medusa's a pretty easy fight. I should mention, Joachim doesn't get hit by status effects, so her I-beam attack probably just does damage, but yeah, you don't get status affected by anything, which is really nice, considering you wouldn't be able to have any, like, antidotes or other status healing items to counteract that. So, yeah, they were actually really nice about that. I don't know, maybe he can be turned to stone, but it didn't happen to me here. But yeah, he can't be poisoned, he can't be cursed, nothing like that. So yeah, I figured I'd mention that there. I should also mention, I think the elemental bosses that I'm not showing off might have new attacks. I remember the ice boss showed off at least one attack that, I think it was the ranged attack that we saw in the boss rush with Leon, but Yeah, we didn't see it in the normal battle, I believe, and she might be a little more distance-focused for Joachim. So, next off we have Succubus. The flail attack is really useful for getting rid of the flowers at the same time, and also by this point, as you might have noticed, thanks to Attack Up, these sword swings are actually doing a lot of damage. They are really tearing her HP to shreds. I could be doing more with focused attacks, but you should save those for when she splits. Basically, when she splits because of targeting, as long as you keep your target up, it will actually just show you which of the 3 succubi is the real one, which is really helpful. But it is better to use the targeted focused attack instead of the swing attack when she does that. I get lucky here and don't hit one of the other ones, but next time she uses that attack I won't be so lucky. I will accidentally hit one of her clones. Now, that being said, speaking of the elementals, if you do want to watch a full playthrough of Joachim mode, I do actually have the full thing up on my non-comp channel. I'll have to remember to link that in the description, but yeah, in case you want to see that, I'm of course not going to do the full run in any of these videos, because, you know, as fun as I think the Joachim mode is, I don't think that I would want to do commentary on all of it. I think it would get a little stale. Again, this mode is really fun, if a little bit repetitive, so yeah, I think it's better to play than to talk over, personally. But that's just me. Anyway, time for the worst fight. So Forgotten One was pretty hard with Leon. It is a chore with Joachim. So I am tearing up his health initially here, thanks to the fact that Joachim's flail attack can basically strike multiple points at the same time very easily. Even Leon would have trouble with this. However, one thing Joachim has trouble with is hitting these frickin' maggots. This is my best solution for this. This formation's magic attack I don't think hits the maggots consistently enough. You might have noticed that it is at a diagonal angle, so like, it'll hit the maggots to the left of Joachim, but it will miss the ones to the right. This, of course, is extremely annoying because this battle kind of exploits Joachim's weak defense. And also, it exploits his attack, which is normally a thing that's not exploited. Normally, Joachim's method of attack is actually really efficient, and nothing can stand up to it, but attacking the boss at this point is actually getting kind of difficult, because it's high up. Not impossible or anything, and you don't need to jump up to hit him. However, we are not tearing through his HP as fast as we were before. So this part of the battle becomes a slog until that last bit of him just sloths off and we can attack, like, the entire hearts. But until that point, this battle goes a lot slower than the beginning did, so this part of the battle is just incredibly tedious, and I hate it. I really hate it. This is miserable. And again, Joachim cannot hit these maggots for the life of him. Sometimes even when targeting, he just cannot do it. I would not suggest the focused attack at all for this phase of the fight, except of course for the laser beam attack, but other than that, the lag from recovering his swords is time that you do not have swords to even attempt to fight off maggots, and it's also time you can't be using to damage him. Also, his sweeping attack, I think just, at this point, it is again hitting him pretty frequently, and of course, in theory it is, and like, while it's not great at actually hitting the maggots, it's still a lot better at hitting multiple maggots in theory than the focused attack is, because even if the focused attack is slightly better at hitting them, it's not hitting as many at a time, which sucks. Now, thankfully, once you get to the point where the entire heart can be attacked, the laser beam will actually hit him. You might have noticed before, when I was using the lasers and the other targets were too high, it was pretty much just to clear the maggots, because it wasn't hitting the actual weakness. Now, this part of the battle, it's fairly easy to attack the Forgotten One, because you can hit his chest and his arm at the same time. Unfortunately, it is kind of easy to botch a jump like that, and most importantly, because of the way Joachim dodges, those fist slam attacks become incredibly dangerous, especially if he does a fake out, like he starts his arm in one position and then moves, because chances are you won't have the time to move yourself into a safe location, and it really sucks. Now, thankfully, the arm sweep attacks aren't too bad, unless he just decides to catch you with his arm. So if the geometry decides you're gonna get hit, it sucks, but otherwise, it's not horrible. I think he does the fake out in this take. Trust me, I had a lot of takes this fight. And man, I am just not getting lucky with those dodges. I should be dodging a little farther away from him. I think that would help me avoid getting caught on his arm. Also, look at this bullshit. He is out of HP, but that didn't interrupt his attacks. I was so mad at that. Now, thankfully, as long as you remember that there are falling rocks that aren't helpful in this phase of the fight, it's actually pretty easy to not get hit here. I would suggest using the focused attack at this point, because you just want to do damage. Do all the damage you possibly can. Also, I didn't want to risk hitting the helpful rocks either, because you can probably do that if I had to guess. So yeah, do all the damage you possibly can at a time. Be safe, and also, yeah, my computer was kind of dying at this point. Sorry. Normally I would redo the fight if that happened, but no, fuck that. I did not want to have to redo this if need be. And thankfully, the game didn't decide to screw me over by just having the laser clip through the rocks this time, like it did in one of my takes of Leon's version of this fight. Didn't do that to me on any of Joachim's fights, at least, but yeah, I will say at one point I did not realize that falling rocks could damage you. I had forgotten about that, so I just got bonked on the head and died. So whenever he does this attack, watch out for the little crumbling debris and the dust from above. Get out of the way of that. So yeah, this was a successful take, and as you might have imagined, that no HP whatsoever was not the best feeling thing. I was definitely a little afraid there, but in the end, he dies. And thank goodness. Yeah, this battle is really annoying, mainly because the first part of the fight can just go on for ages. And yeah, this is the one point in the game in which I was really feeling the fact that Joachim doesn't have any elemental attacks. Like, for the rest of the bosses, it's fine. I never really used those as Leon anyway, except for the elemental battles, but here, I really missed the Ice Whip. Alright, so, Walter Bernhard, as it turns out, provided he's not completely immortal, would have actually been really easy for Joachim to kill. Because you don't have to stand around and attack, it's really easy to avoid Walter's attacks. Like that one? Super easy. You don't need to be anywhere close to him. His worst attack is probably the homing one, which I think is this one? Yes, this one. In a previous run, I had only needed to dodge it once, so it did catch me unaware by following me to the ends of the earth that time. Which sucks because the one problem with this fight is that Walter does do a lot of damage. Like, I'm at max item. I got all the HP ups and defense ups in the game. But unfortunately, yeah, it was, he still does quite a bit of damage. So really, this battle is just here to whittle you down a bit for death. But honestly, even on my first run as Joachim against this guy, I did not have a hard time at all. So, like, eh. I would not have gotten hit at all if I hadn't gotten caught by surprise by his homing attack, which that one was my fault anyway for not expecting to get hit like that. But yeah, that little burst attack that he does is nothing when you can move around and attack. This battle's super easy. Death is a little bit harder, though. So, just like with Walter, his homing attack is his worst attack to dodge. His scythe attack is actually pretty easy, though. As long as you know the timing for it, he gives you plenty of time to sort of back off and give yourself room to jump. His minion's attack, oddly enough, actually got me a few times. I think even in this run. They actually do chase you closely enough that you don't want to get complacent even though you can move and attack. Normally, because you can do that, you don't have to worry about stuff like this, but yeah, he can... Okay, that one, I don't know how he hit me there. I guess one of these little skull cups might have just looped around in a way that I must have missed. Maybe Joachim was in the way of it or something, I don't know. Either way, though, yeah, they can catch you by surprise. Now, the nice thing here is that in this run, Death decided to be super nice, and even though I did mention that, like, his minions' attack did hit me, much to my surprise, the fact that he's still doing it over and over again instead of the homing attack, which, again, because of the delay on Joachim's dodge, it can actually be pretty hard to dodge his homing attack. Am I gonna do it here? Yes, actually. So yeah, you need to make full use of both of his mini dashes, because if you screw up the movement on either one of those, you are not dodging his homing shot. But yeah, then he decided to use his scythe attack a whole lot, which is good, because Tempest, or whatever this is called, is super hard to dodge as Joachim, especially when the beam just hits you. And yeah, really feeling the lack of iframes there. Yeah, Joachim's dodges and jumps don't feel like they're nearly as under control as Leon's are, so Tempest, of course, was pretty dangerous for Leon, because even though you have more control, still a little hard to dodge unless, you know, you're being mindful. And, oh god, this made me nervous because he wasn't quite dead here. But yeah, you had to control your jumps, you just had to make sure you were controlling yourself. But yeah, Joachim kind of got lucky. It's kind of hard to dodge because he's unwieldy, but Death is dead, so... Joachim is super happy, and you know what? Good for him. I'm glad he got to own a castle. So yeah, that's the only cutscene that Joachim gets, but it's nice. It's nice to see Joachim really happy about winning. So yeah, that was Joachim mode. It's super fun, and it's easy to blow through, so definitely a fun alternate character to play as. In case you're wondering, I showed off the credits because Joachim does have his own unique pictures for the end, so I didn't want to skip them completely, but we don't need to see the credits in normal speed. Now, you might be wondering then, who could the other playable character be? Joachim's a bit of a surprise because, you know, he was a one-off boss who seemed important, but, you know, he was only important in his battle. But in his own mode, he justifies himself because he did get his revenge on Walter, and he did rule the castle, so... guess Walter's gonna be the final boss for the rest of the series in this AU. However, if you were thinking that the other playable character was Ronaldo, you would be wrong. It's Pumpkin, you fool! You utter imbecile! So, Pumpkin. Who is Pumpkin, you might be wondering? Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be playing the full game as Pumpkin because, well, again, disk space and whatnot. But, Pumpkin is pretty great as a character, and I believe there is a full run of Pumpkin mode on YouTube, so, you can look that up if you want to. But I absolutely need to give you a taste of it because, let me tell you, Pumpkin's pretty great. So here he is. He doesn't get his own little tutorial page like Joachim did, because he pretty much plays like Leon. You got your whip, you've got your dodges, and once again, well, you can also throw a pumpkin. That's his that's his sub-weapon. But yeah, you also have inventory, and by the way, you start with Vampire Killer. You don't start with any other items, so you still have to collect those, but yeah, you get the most powerful whip in the game right off the bat, so despite Pumpkin's fairly low HP and MP, you do have you do have an advantage in that Pumpkin starts powerful with a very good whip. I don't know how his sub-weapon is because I didn't use it against enemies, but it is pretty great. Or it might be good, rather. Visually, it's great. I know that. Now, in Joachim mode, Ronaldo didn't appear because he didn't buy items anyway. I do wish, however, that if in Joachim mode that you couldn't actually enter Ronaldo's house because he does have that anti-vampire barrier. But no, you can enter Ronaldo's cabin. He just won't be there. I do kind of wish they added that detail. But yeah, you can buy stuff with Pumpkin, so yeah, it's basically just Leon mode, but you start with a little less HP, but a lot more power. And also, every screen transition is amazing because Pumpkin's amazing. I mean, God, just look at this little guy. Look at him go! I love him! His animations are fantastic, and God, I was really tempted to do a full playthrough of Pumpkin. Again, that would be on my non-com channel if I were going to do it, but, you know, admittedly, I'm a little bit done with Lament of Innocence. I will say, it is actually a really fun game, and when I was playing it, I was having fun. When I wasn't playing it, though, it is kind of hard to look forward to, you know, covering the same maps that I've already covered before. Even Joachim mode, which is, again, simplified in comparison to Leon, even that, you know, thinking about it, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that again. But yeah, it's just because it's a very explory game. If this were just like a level-by-level beat-em-up, maybe I would've. Of course, it would also be a much different game if it were a level-by-level beat-em-up, and it wouldn't really be Castlevania at all now, would it have been? Guess that'd be closer to Castlevania 64 Legends. Legends is sort of level-based, right? But also kind of open-ish. I've barely played that game, but I remember it being level-based, but also, man, pretty open levels, if we're being honest. But yeah, and again, the other problem I've been having is disk space. I would like to finish this up and then get the very disk space heavy, completely legitimate copy of Castlevania Lament of Innocence off my computer. Totally legitimate, what are you talking about? But yeah, just in general, Lament of Innocence has been on, if not the back burner, then some kind of burner for a long time now. Like, when did I start the first playthrough? Oh god, that was around the time I was doing way too much, wasn't it? Oh heck, I think it was. That was back when I was doing, like, my original run of New Mystery of the Emblem and Crypt of the Necrodancer and stuff. Oh god. Oh no, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Heck. Oh, I hate thinking about this, but yeah, it would have been a while ago at this point. Oh god, that was 2016. Oh god. Okay, so, at risk of giving myself temporal depression, we're gonna end Castlevania Lament of Innocence off on that, forever. We're done with this game. But hey, isn't that nice? He's singing a little song to close us out, isn't that nice?